I never thought I'd walk away from Sterling Technologies, the company I had poured my heart and soul into for 7 years. But on that rainy Tuesday morning, as I packed my personal belongings into a cardboard box while Caroline Sterling watched with a smug smile, I realized sometimes life's greatest setbacks lead to unexpected victories. I'm Sarah Mitchell, and this is how I went from being forcibly resigned to becoming the owner of the very company that cast me aside. My career at Sterling Technologies began fresh out of college. While other graduates landed cushy jobs through family connections, I worked my way up from an entry-level marketing position. Within 5 years, I had transformed their stagnant marketing department into an industry powerhouse, bringing in contracts worth millions. Another brilliant campaign, Sarah, Tom Sterling, the CEO, would say, his eyes crinkling with genuine appreciation. You've got a real gift for this. I loved every minute of it. The creative challenges, the rush of landing big clients, the satisfaction of seeing my ideas come to life. Sterling Technologies wasn't just my workplace, it was my second home. Then everything changed when Caroline Sterling returned from her finding herself trip around Europe. Caroline was Tom's only daughter, a privileged 26-year-old who had never worked a day in her life. Yet somehow, she had decided that running Sterling Technologies' marketing department was her calling. Daddy, she whined during meetings, I have so many amazing ideas. I've seen how they do things in Paris and Milan. We need to be more European. I tried to be patient. I really did. When she suggested replacing our successful B2B campaign with pictures of models posing with our industrial software, because that's how they do it in Milan, I gently explained why that wouldn't work for our target audience. When she wanted to spend half our annual budget on a yacht party for potential clients, because that's how they do it in Monaco, I showed her our ROI projections for more practical approaches. But Caroline didn't want explanations or projections. She wanted control. The whisper started small. First, I noticed my name being left off important emails. Then my meetings with key clients were mysteriously rescheduled, only to be handled by Caroline instead. Projects I had carefully developed were suddenly reassigned without explanation. It's nothing personal, Tom would assure me, not quite meeting my eyes. Caroline just needs to learn the ropes, and you're so good at what you do. I understood the implication. I was too good, too established. How could Caroline prove herself with me around? The final blow came during our biggest pitch of the year. We were competing for a $50 million contract with Global Dynamics, a client I had been courting for months. I had prepared everything: market research, targeted strategies, comprehensive proposals. But when presentation day arrived, Caroline walked into the conference room instead of me. "Oh, Sarah," she said with false sympathy, "didn't anyone tell you? Daddy thought it would be better if I handled this one. We need a fresh perspective, you know." I watched through the conference room windows as she fumbled through my presentation, butchering key points and missing crucial details. The Global Dynamics executives exchanged concerned glances. 7 months of work destroyed in 45 minutes. The next morning, Tom called me into his office. Caroline sat beside his desk, examining her manicure with practiced indifference. "Sarah," Tom began, his voice carefully measured, "we need to discuss your position here at Sterling Technologies." My heart sank. I knew what was coming. Recent events have made it clear that there's been some friction in the marketing department. Caroline feels that your methods are somewhat outdated, resistant to change. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Outdated, resistant to change. I had quadrupled their marketing ROI in 5 years. "We think it's best if we part ways," Tom continued, sliding a severance package across his desk. "Of course, we'll provide excellent references." Caroline finally looked up from her nails, her lips curving into a satisfied smirk. "Don't take it personally, Sarah. Some people just aren't cut out for the modern business world. Maybe try something simpler, like social media for small businesses." I sat there, stunned into silence. 7 years of dedication, of successful campaigns, of record-breaking growth, all erased because the boss's daughter wanted to play marketing executive. "You're worthless to this company now," Caroline added, her voice dripping with contempt. "We need innovation, not someone stuck in their ways." I signed the severance agreement without a word. What choice did I have? But as I packed up my office under Caroline's watchful eye, something inside me hardened. This wasn't going to be the end of my story. That evening, I sat in my apartment staring at the cardboard box of office belongings. My phone buzzed continuously with messages from concerned colleagues, but I ignored them all. Instead, I opened my laptop and began to write. Not an angry email, not a resignation letter, but a business plan. You see, while Caroline was gallivanting around Europe and Tom was planning his daughter's corporate takeover, I had been paying attention. I knew Sterling Technology's strengths, their weaknesses, and most importantly, their vulnerabilities. I knew they had been losing market share in the Asia-Pacific region. I knew their software platform needed a major overhaul to stay competitive. And I knew that without my client relationships and marketing strategies, they were about to hit some very rough waters. By midnight, I had the beginnings of something bigger than revenge. I had the blueprint for my own company, one that would not just compete with Sterling Technologies, but revolutionize the entire industry. I called my old mentor, David Chen, who had retired from venture capital 3 years ago. Sarah, he answered despite the late hour, is everything okay? David, remember when you said if I ever wanted to start my own company, he'd be my first investor. I'm ready. There was a pause, then a chuckle. I wondered how long it would take you to outgrow Sterling. Come by my office tomorrow. Let's talk. That night, as I finally lay down to sleep, Caroline's words echoed in my head. You're worthless to this company now. She had no idea how wrong she was, because in exactly 5 years, I wouldn't just be worth something to Sterling Technologies. I would own it. But first, I had an empire to build. The next morning, I walked into David's office with my laptop and determination. He listened intently as I outlined my vision for Phoenix Digital Solutions, a company that would combine cutting-edge marketing technology with the human touch that Sterling was rapidly losing under Caroline's leadership. You're not just talking about a marketing agency, David said, leaning back in his chair. You're talking about creating an entirely new model for digital transformation. I nodded. Sterling's losing touch with what clients actually need. They're so focused on looking sophisticated that they're forgetting the basics of good service and innovation. David studied me for a long moment, then smiled. How much do you need to start? $2 million, I said without hesitation. I can give you a detailed breakdown of exactly where every dollar will go. He raised an eyebrow. That's a lot of money, Sarah. It's exactly what we need to build the right platform and hire the right team. In 3 years, our project will be worth at least $50 million. In 5 years, we'll be able to buy Sterling Technologies outright. David's eyes widened slightly at my ambition, but he didn't dismiss it. Instead, he pulled out his checkbook. I'm in for the full amount, he said, but on one condition. Name it. When you buy Sterling Technologies, and notice I said when, not if. I want to be there to see Caroline's face. I smiled, remembering Caroline's smug expression as she watched me pack my office. Deal. The first year was brutal. I worked 18-hour days, sometimes sleeping on the small couch in my office. Every client meeting, every pitch, every line of code in our platform had to be perfect. I couldn't just succeed. I had to excel beyond anyone's expectations. I hired strategically, picking up talented people who had been overlooked or undervalued at larger companies. Together, we built something revolutionary, a platform that combined AI-driven analytics with human creativity in ways that traditional agencies couldn't match. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on Sterling Technologies through industry contacts. Caroline's fresh perspective was exactly as effective as I'd expected. Within 6 months of my departure, they'd lost the Global Dynamics contract. Within a year, their market share had dropped by 15%. But I wasn't interested in watching them fail. I was too busy succeeding. By the end of our second year, Phoenix Digital had expanded to 3 international offices. Our client list included companies that Sterling had been chasing for years. Our proprietary software platform was being hailed as a game-changer in digital marketing. Sarah, David said during one of our quarterly meetings, you've built something remarkable here. Your valuation is already at $40 million. I nodded, but my eyes were on a different number on the screen, Sterling Technologies' declining stock price. They're struggling, David noted, following my gaze. Tom's looking for investors, but nobody's biting. Not with Caroline running marketing into the ground. How long? I asked. At this rate, they'll be ripe for acquisition in about 3 years. Sooner if their next quarter is as bad as analysts predict. I smiled, thinking of Caroline's words on my last day. You're worthless to this company now. Perfect, I said. Everything's right on schedule. 3 years after my forced resignation from Sterling Technologies, I sat in my corner office at Phoenix Digital's headquarters, reviewing our latest acquisition reports. The view of the city skyline reminded me how far I'd come from that rainy day when I carried my belongings out in a cardboard box. Phoenix Digital had exceeded even my ambitious projections. We weren't just successful, we were revolutionizing the industry. Our client list read like a Fortune 500 directory, and our innovative marketing platform had become the gold standard in digital transformation. But I never forgot my ultimate goal. That morning, my CFO Michael walked into my office with a knowing smile. You're going to want to see this, he said, placing a financial report on my desk. I glanced at the document and felt my heart skip a beat. Sterling Technologies stock had plummeted 40% overnight. What happened? I asked, although I already had a good idea. Caroline Sterling's latest innovation, Michael said with air quotes. She convinced her father to invest $30 million in a virtual reality marketing platform. It launched yesterday. Complete disaster. The software barely works, and they've already lost 3 major clients. I leaned back in my chair, thinking of all the times Caroline had dismissed my outdated approaches in favor of flashy, substance-less initiatives. Their board is calling an emergency meeting, Michael continued. Word is, they're looking for a buyer before the company loses any more value. I picked up my phone and dialed David's number. When he answered, I said only 2 words. It's time. The next few weeks were a carefully orchestrated dance. Through a series of shell companies and quiet negotiations, Phoenix Digital began acquiring Sterling Technologies stock. We kept our name out of it. I didn't want Caroline or Tom getting wind of who was really behind the purchase. Then came the day I'd been planning for 5 years. Sterling Technologies had called an all-hands meeting to announce a potential buyout. The company's situation was dire. Their stock was in free fall. Clients were jumping ship, and Caroline's failed VR project had burned through their cash reserves. I walked into Sterling's headquarters for the first time since my resignation. The security guard didn't recognize me, he was new. But as I made my way to the conference room, I saw familiar faces doing double takes. Was that Sarah Mitchell? What was she doing here? The main conference room was packed. Tom Sterling stood at the front, looking aged and tired. Caroline sat in the front row, her designer outfit and perfect manicure a stark contrast to the worry lines on her face. As you all know, Tom began, Sterling Technologies has been facing some challenges. We've been in talks with a potential buyer who can help stabilize our situation. Caroline shifted uncomfortably in her seat. I knew this must be killing her. The company she'd helped drive into the ground was about to be sold to strangers. The buyer's representatives are here today, Tom continued. I'd like to introduce. That was my cue. I stood up from my seat in the back row and walked to the front of the room. The click of my heels against the marble floor echoed in the sudden silence. Caroline's face went from confused to shocked to horrified in the span of seconds. What is she doing here? She hissed at her father. Tom looked equally stunned. Sarah? I don't understand. I took my place at the podium, enjoying the moment I'd waited 5 years for. Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Sarah Mitchell, CEO of Phoenix Digital Solutions. And as of this morning, we own 51% of Sterling Technologies shares. The room erupted in whispers. Caroline jumped to her feet, her face flushed with anger. This is impossible. Daddy, you can't let her. It's already done, I cut in smoothly. The board approved the sale an hour ago. Phoenix Digital is now the majority shareholder of Sterling Technologies. I clicked to the first slide of my presentation, displaying Phoenix Digital's impressive growth charts. For those concerned about your jobs, let me assure you, Phoenix Digital believes in nurturing talent, not discarding it. Well, with one exception. My eyes met Caroline's. Effective immediately, all executive positions will be reviewed for efficiency and merit. We'll be implementing a new organizational structure that emphasizes experience and proven success over other considerations. Caroline's face had gone from red to white. She remembered, I was sure, her last words to me. You're worthless to this company now. Tom finally found his voice. Sarah, please, Caroline is my daughter. Yes, I said firmly, she is. And that's exactly why she was the wrong person to run your marketing department. But don't worry, we'll provide an excellent severance package. In fact, I smiled. I believe we still have the template from when I was forced to resign. After the meeting, as shell-shocked employees filed out of the conference room, Caroline marched up to my podium. "You planned this," she accused, her voice shaking. "All of it." "No, Caroline," I replied calmly. "You did this. Every time you chose flash over substance, every time you dismissed experience for ego, every time you put your entitlement ahead of what was best for the company, you built this moment." "I'll fight this," she threatened. "Daddy will find a way. Your father just signed over controlling interests to save the company from bankruptcy," I pointed out. "He doesn't have any moves left. But I'll tell you what, I'm feeling generous. You can either accept the severance package and leave quietly, or," she narrowed her eyes, "or what? Or you can start in our entry-level marketing position. Learn the business from the ground up, like I did. Prove your worth through actual work, not your last name. Your choice." Caroline stared at me, probably trying to decide which option would hurt her pride less. Finally, she snatched the severance agreement from my hand and stormed out, her designer heels clicking against the floor in angry staccato. Tom lingered behind, looking lost in his own conference room. "I never thought," he began, "that the person you discarded would end up owning your company." I finished for him. "That's the problem, Tom. You stopped seeing people's true worth a long time ago." I gathered my presentation's materials, then turned back to him. "I'll see you at tomorrow's board meeting. Don't worry, I won't clean out your office like Caroline made me do with mine. You can handle that on your own schedule." As I walked out of Sterling Technologies, now a subsidiary of Phoenix Digital, I passed my old office. Through the window, I could see Caroline angrily shoving her things into a cardboard box, just as I had done 5 years ago. The difference was I had left with a plan. She was leaving with nothing but regret. David was waiting in my car outside. "How did it feel?" he asked as I slid into the seat. I thought about Caroline's face when she realized who now controlled her fate, about Tom's expression when he understood the true cost of choosing loyalty to his daughter over loyalty to his company, about the years of hard work and dedication that had brought me to this moment. It felt, I paused, searching for the right word. It felt like justice. Just justice? David raised an eyebrow. Not revenge. I shook my head, watching Sterling Technologies building disappear in the rear-view mirror. Revenge is about making others suffer. This was about proving my worth, to them, to myself, to everyone who ever doubted what I could achieve. David nodded approvingly. "So what's next for the new owner of Sterling Technologies?" I smiled, thinking of all the plans I had for both companies. Now we build something even bigger, something that combines Sterling's infrastructure with Phoenix's innovation, something that will change the industry forever. And Caroline? Caroline? I laughed softly. She taught me the most valuable lesson of all. Never underestimate someone you think is worthless. They might just end up owning your company. The next morning, as I walked into my new office in the Sterling Technologies building, I passed by the wall of company photos. There was one from 20 years ago showing Tom Sterling founding the company, another from 10 years ago showing their first major expansion. I took down Caroline's recent photo, the one of her announcing the failed VR platform, and replaced it with a new one. Sarah Mitchell, CEO of Phoenix Digital Solutions and Sterling Technologies. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about building something so magnificent that they're forced to witness your success from the sidelines. Caroline had called me worthless, but in the end, I wasn't just worth something to Sterling Technologies. I was worth everything.